The first thing I'm going to do tonight is make a request to our friends in the media that when you put a quote in the paper, if you just please clearly state which Unroe says it. That can inadvertently cross people up. So
Been saying that for a long time.
if y'all would just try to look at that, I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, I try to be cognizant. Remember, I have editors though.
Oh, I understand. And I appreciate y'all being here and appreciate everything you do. I'm not complaining. I just have that one request for you. Well, the next thing I want to talk about, we went through a pretty intense couple weeks here through the hiring process and interviewing process and trying to find a replacement for Roxanne. This is the second time that I've been involved in this process. I was involved when Roxanne was hired. Now I've been involved that she's leaving. The big difference this time though was we had one position available and 14 applicants for that position. And then we have a 3-person personnel committee. So the way that we handled that and the way the process started was every member on the personnel committee got copies of the applications for their review. And every person that applied for the job, one of the other things that was unusual is that every person that applied for the job had some aspect of what was needed for the job. So it wasn't as cut and dried as you could look through the applications and say, well, this individual doesn't have any of the requirements for the job. All of them had some of the requirements necessary. So the personnel committee met the first time and were able to narrow it down to 4 individuals that were called in for interviews. Of those 4 individuals, Randy excused himself from one for personal reasons, and at that point we asked Joey to step in his place to help with that interview process. And those 4 were narrowed down to 2. And the 2 last applicants pretty much had a good portion of what we needed for this position. Now, like I said, this is only the second time I've been involved in this. Richard and Bobby have been involved in it numerous times through the number of years that they've been on town council. And Richard, I think I can speak for what y'all expressed to me, that this is the first time that y'all have experienced having so many qualified applicants apply for the job. Is that not accurate?
No, that's very accurate.
So it was a hard decision to make, but it was a decision that the personnel committee made to offer the job to Wendy because it seemed that she may have had just a little bit more of an edge on the accounting and clerical background, and so the personnel committee extended the offer to her. She accepted it. She comes to the town after, what did you say, 16 years?
15 years.
15 years at Sona Bank. Has worked in all aspects of the banking business there, from teller right on up, and I think the last thing you were doing, you were in the securities department. So she's used to handling money, accounting, practices, has familiarized herself with the QuickBooks that we use, and possesses the people skills that are necessary for the job. And so I think the transition is going to be really, really smooth. As I said, the three, Randy, and not Randy, but Joey and Bobby and Richard, the decision was unanimous that we would offer the job to her, and then tonight we'll just confirm that through a vote under new business. So this is Wendy. She'll be here, the new face behind the desk when y'all come in to pay your bills and things of that nature. Any questions or anything, Wendy?
Not yet.
Okay. And there will be days that you have questions, and just, if you can't get us, just write them down, and we'll work through them together. You can always call Roxanne.
Yeah,
She
she's
can
at
walk you
speed
through
dial.
it. Okay. All right, a couple things that we need to talk about. The work session on the 18th, as we had stated, for the last 2 months, we were going to have a cookout hosting the Alleghany County elected officials at the River Park. We started that at 4:30 that afternoon. Had a fairly good turnout. I would like to have seen more folks from the other localities come, but everybody that came was appreciative. We had some good interaction. We made some new friends, met some people that some of us hadn't met before on the Board of Supervisors. And it's like John Ladford said, he said, when you have a function like this and you can put a face with the name of the person you're talking to on the phone, it makes sometimes even a difficult conversation a little bit easier to take. So I think it was all in all well received, all in all a good thing. Clifton Forge, if you'll remember, had one back in January of this year. Alleghany County is going to have one next, I think they said in the spring, didn't they, Joey? Mm-hmm. And the city of Covington is going to host the next one in December, I think at Fudge Street Cafe. So it's going to be kind of a round table event of each locality is going to try to have something 1 quarter out of the year. And it works good for us to kind of be in the fall because we have the River Park to show off, and a lot of the people that were there didn't realize we had that River Park, and they were justly impressed with how nice the park was, how well it was maintained, just how pristine the water was over there. And you know, of course, we gave proper credit to the junior and the Public Works Department for maintaining it, keeping it up for us, and keeping it clean. So I think in all, it was a success and a good event. Chris, you had a neighborhood watch meeting here Monday night, and I think that went really well. I think you had a really nice turnout for that. I don't know how many people you had, but the room was full of people, and I thought y'all did a nice job with that. One of the things that came up that night, though, and Ms. Fowler, I'm glad you're here because I think you're the one that brought it up, maybe, was about the street light in the middle of the 800 block of Commerce. Did a little checking on that to find out what the story on that situation was. And my understanding is that street light was actually being paid for by 2 citizens that lived in that block. One of them was Cecil Miller, who lived on the corner, and one of them was A.J. Simmons, who lives there where Steve and Pauline Vest live now. After Mr. Miller was no longer willing to pay to keep the light there, Mr. Simmons kept it there until he left, and then after he left, there was nobody paying for that light. So now that we have that information, and you're right, it is very dark down there.
I burn my porch lights every night, both of them.
So we're gonna make a phone call to Dominion Power and see what it would take and what it would cost to get another light put up down there. So I mean, I heard you. I heard you need down there, and I made a point to ride down through there, and it is very dark down there at nighttime. So I can't promise when it's going to happen, but we're working on it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Linda Brinkley, her brother, is the guy down here taking care of Dominion Power.
Well, that's why it's a Dominion
Yeah.
Power truck at her place every
Yeah,
morning.
that's her brother, Kent Smith. And he said anytime we needed anything,
Well,
call
can you
him.
kind of talk to him tomorrow and see what it would take?
Right.
Okay. And while we're talking about lights and dark areas and things, down at the playground, we had some vandalism a while back that had damaged some of the lights in the shelters. They have been repaired. No light bulbs have been put in them yet, just because we're waiting a little bit closer to Town Day and Halloween party. But they have been repaired, and Chris, y'all are trying to keep a closer watch down there, and you know, some more patrols maybe down there, you said the other night, to see what's going on.
Especially at night.
And the other side of that, while we've had that little bit of vandalism down there, we've actually had more problems at the playground this summer than we've had at the river park. The river park's been a pretty good year, pretty quiet summer for us over there. We've had a few complaints that the sheriff's department was called on, but Chris, I think every time y'all went over there, it was a non-event type thing. It was, you know, just follow up and check on things, right? And while we're talking about the playground, this should really be under old business, but I'm gonna talk about it now. We do have Parks and Recreations has a Town Day / Halloween party scheduled for Saturday, October the 28th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to incorporate some of the things from the old Town Day with the music and the cakewalk and the bingo and things of that nature. And then we're going to also incorporate some Halloween activities for the children. Pumpkin painting, which went over really big the last time. Costume judging, prizes for all of that. A variation on apple bobbing. Instead of bobbing for apples, they're going to have to bite for a donut hanging on a string. And going to have a haunted house down there, and maybe a little haunted trail around by the back of the park. It'll be a good night. It'll be a big event, big turnout. Joey's going to take care of the music for us for that night. We will need some volunteers to help with that. We've got the big things covered. We've got the kitchen volunteers covered. We need some folks to help set up that day and decorate that day. But it should be a good time. I think it turned out really well the last time we did it. So hopefully this year it'll be as good a turnout. While we're talking about that, I'd like to have a Parks and Recreation meeting Monday night. What time can you get here, Karen?
Everything hinges on me.
No, but what time can you?
6? Or, I mean, that would be the earliest. I mean, if people want to do it a little later.
6 work all right for you,
dinner.
and ER? Sure. Anybody else that wants to come is certainly invited. The more we have, the better it is, so the better it would be. The river park will be closed, I guess, Monday morning for the season. It closes the 1st of October. So Saturday's actually the 30th, Sunday's the 1st, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So Monday morning, they would lock it up for the season. We need to make sure Handy John comes and takes care of what they need to do over there for the winter preparation for that.
I will also let dispatch know that it's gonna be Monday morning because I can foresee there being a call because it's October the 1st on Sunday.
Right.
So that'll quieten down any complaints for you guys.
And Joey, can you put that on the website for us, please? Okay. We sold a lot of water today, Roxanne. Who was that?
Paul Perry? Barry, from, I think it's the.
Bolitot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bolitot, yeah.
What was
I
it
hadn't got the
for?
bill or nothing, they had a leak,
Down
didn't they
in
have some kind of leak?
Glen Wilton?
Yeah,
Well, no, they're not through. They were hauling water. They've hauled water all day.
oh, okay.
Probably
They said 10,000.
six tank loads.
Oh,
We got some down my house today. One, I see.
They did?
Yeah, not far.
Junior took the meter,
Yeah, what they got by my house was all metered.
yeah.
And I counted 6 tank loads off the meter before I came up here.
There was a big truck there when I came up.
Well, he was back then because he had just left when I came up, so that would be 7 from that meter. He had a big truck. It was probably a 2,500 gallon truck. So where's he taking, Glen Wilton?
That's what they said in the when,
Yes.
Glen Wilton. I forgot who called, who was it that called us?
Paul Perry?
Yeah.
Well, somebody else before him said he'd be calling.
Okay. Well, I knew you knew about it because the meter was on the hydrant. And
Yeah,
I guess they got that tank down there before we knew about it, or?
no, Junior put the meter on as soon as he got back from lunch. I
But,
didn't even have to tell him because somebody done stopped him.
What time did they get a tank at your house, W.L.?
I'm gonna say 4:35, something.
Yeah,
6
it was
o'clock.
on early.
Huh?
6 o'clock.
It was 6
Tonight?
Yeah, I don't know what.
Big green truck?
It was a big fire truck, yeah.
It wasn't a green truck, green and white?
No, it's far truck. This here's far truck.
The
It's
green and white
tanker.
was at
Great
like
big tanker.
6:45.
Maybe Glen Wilton's tanker.
It might have
Glen
been,
Wilton tank.
That's been my tanker, that's what it was.
because the truck has been at my house, has been a private contractor, big green and white truck.
Yeah,
That's two different things.
All right, he didn't get water down there, did he?
no.
Okay. All right. And I knew you knew about it, I wanted to mention it because. Okay. Pretty much the police equipment that we've talked about has been taken care of. Clifton Forge got what they had purchased and they've paid us for it. Have you gotten a check from the county,
Or
the
what?
police equipment?
Yeah,
Okay. That they purchased and you got all your stuff from the county, right? The only 2 things that left back there are the 2 shotguns. And Bolitot County SWAT team is interested in the Benelli. It's a restricted sale item. It has to go to another agency or to a federal firearms agent to be sold because of the length of the barrel. And they are looking for what they call an entry gun. And I can only imagine that that's something they use when they have to go into a house or something to have a short gun with them. Now there is some stuff up in the attic, and Junior's going to move all that down to the police office back here so that we can get together and go through it. There are some things that we're holding on to back there, patches, badges, things of that nature, so we can put up some displays to not only remember but honor the fact that there was a police department in town for so many years. I asked Junior about the flags on 220. Has he looked at them yet?
No, he hadn't said nothing to me.
Can you remind him that they got meters to read tomorrow, so it'll be
Yeah,
Monday, but can y'all remind him to get those out? Let's look at the condition of them and see what we need to do about getting them up. And if you'll remember, back a couple months ago, we started talking about the crepe myrtles on 220 and where we're going to move them. And then we had a gentleman from Clifton Forge that had provided landscaping around the signs, entry signs to Clifton Forge. He's going to do the same thing for us down here, Mr. Barber. He had his group from Roanoke, who he's getting the landscaping and things from, come by and look at the crepe myrtles. He said he could trim them to make them into a tree, so they wouldn't be impairing people's vision. But the estimate that he sent to us this week is $3,600, and we don't have $3,600 right now to spend on landscaping, so maybe we can trim them or do something different and you know, look at that. But I don't think that we can justify spending that kind of money just for landscaping when there's other options. On the 7th of September, I was invited to attend a luncheon hosted by Mr. Updike of Wilson, Updike and Nicely Law Firm, who represents Jackson River Enterprises. And I was there with other folks from the county, John Lanford and the Covington City Manager and Clifton Forge Town Manager. And basically, the gist of the meeting was just to kind of apprise us on how things are going at JRE, how many people they had employed there, get our input on the service that they're providing and any ways that they might be able to improve that service. So it was a good meeting. Some ideas came out of it, and they're working on some things into the future that I think will maybe help move that along and streamline that a little bit. Just wanted to kind of report on that. I only got a couple more things. Roxanne, have you heard anything from the governor's office about a tree ornament this year? Can you get that information from last year and reach out to them and see, because we have an artist in town who is willing to have one, and see if we can't get one sent down there?
okay.
And let Ann know, please. Christmas parade is Saturday, December the 9th at 1 o'clock. Theme this year, if you haven't seen it, I think everybody has, but it's a Merry Melodies Christmas. That translates back to my childhood as Looney Tunes. So it should be a fun day. It should be a lot of fun with that. And in going along with that, we didn't do it last year, but I'd like to do another tree lighting down here this year. So once we get situated and fine-tune the Halloween party, Parks and Recreation will pick a date and start working on that. And have that one evening, maybe before the work session, or maybe something like that, maybe the evening before the Christmas parade. But I think it would be good to do that. And then there's 3 items that I've been working on that come up every month. I still haven't gotten any definitive answers from VDOT on the manholes on the Tanner Road, or the cleaning of the ditch at the bottom of Ronnie Dowd and Bob Balzer's Hill before winter. We need to get that cleaned out before winter if we can. but I am working on that. And the architects have not completed the proposed scale drawing for the beginning to look at possibly being able to put a Veterans Memorial Park in up in the triangle coming into town, but they are working on it, and I should have that pretty soon to present to everybody for everybody to look at for a while before we move forward with that. And that's all that I have for my report.